How's it going, guys? Brito here, showing you my Belphemon Leviamon Purple Hybrids deck profile. This is a list that kind of was inspired by several different people, so shout out to both James and Ernie. Them two kind of helped me out brainstorm and just make this list. Uh, this has started as me just wanting to play like purple hybrids, and I was just trying to figure out the top end, and then one thing led to another, and then I decided on the Belphemon Leviamon top end for the purple hybrids. Let me, I guess, first start off with the eggs. The eggs, I still haven't decided which ones I prefer. BT15 Demi-Meramon or the old Demi-Meramon, but pretty much right now I'm running a 3-2 split of them. So the reason why I'm doing a 3-2 split is because this deck tends to neg on hand size a lot. For example, with 4 Biting Crushes, with the Lightning, 7th Lightning, with the Belphemon pitching cards from your hand, and just hard dropping stuff, you tend to neg cards a lot. So I always wanted a way to plus on hand size. So that's why I kind of prefer the BT15 Demi-Meramon. For the rookies, I'm running 4 Tapirmons. This deck's still a bit of a work in progress, so the Tapirmons, even though I like them a lot and they help out a lot with keeping plus on hand size, sometimes mid to late game I tend to like, I'm not sure if it's due to the Tapirmons or just poor hand management, but I tend to be above the 6 cards in hand to help proc the Rage mode. So, Tapirmons, so far right now I'm keeping them in the list, but they could easily also be Phascomons. Um, Phascomon, it's like 4 Phascos and then 4 of the BT15 Demimera. That should still like help you plus on hand size. Because as is, if you have the Tapirmon with the Demi-Meramon with the BT15, you on deletion draw one, and then you pitch one card to draw two. So that's +1, -1, then +2. So at the end, you end up plussing 2 cards with these two. Um, Early game that helps me out a lot because you tend to draw into a lot of like the heavier stuff, which is kind of what you want. You want to try to get these in your hand to pitch them later on. Um, so yeah, this combo helps out early game. But that's why I prefer this. But also the Phascomon with this could also help out. Depends on how you prefer it. 3 Ukos and then 1 Psychmon. The reason for the Psychmon is I wasn't sure what to put in as like the 4th egg, whether I wanted to do a 4-4 split. But then I realized there's still going to be a lot of like Anubis players out there and Apocalypse and even people that just love dropping the Death X for 11 or whatever. So I decided to just try out the Psychmon, and so far it's helped me out a lot in certain matchups that I didn't realize. Like there's still some people running around with Hunters. So yeah, Psychmon did help out in those matchups. For the level 4s, it's just the 4 Kaiser Leo, 3 Leviamons, and then these 3 are like kind of a bit of a flex spot. Wizardmon, I prefer Wizard as the blocker instead of like Vilemon or any of the other blockers we have, because he has this really cool effect that on play and on deletion, by trashing the top or bottom card of security, you could -6k one of your opponent's Digimon. And since it's on play and on deletion, you can essentially do like a Belphemon play where you pitch 2 to stop the attack. You play out the wizard from trash. You trash the top or bottom card of security to do the -6k to something. You could do it to like one of their level 6s to make them smaller, or one of their little guys to just get them off the board. And then you can have them as a blocker. And then once you block and it dies, and if it dies, you do the same thing. You do cost like the cost of it is trashing security, but in yellow matchups like yellow vaccine or security control, where they tend to chaos degrade a lot of your pieces like Levia, you could use this to get them out. Whether they put them at the top or bottom, you just, all right, on play of this, trash that Levia or Belphemon that they put there at security to -6k something. So this is also something that it hasn't really come up yet because I haven't gone up against too much yellow decks playtesting with this deck, but still I prefer this guy for that utility. Octomon, I think Octomon is kind of essential when you're playing anything with Leviamon, because there's going to be certain decks that don't play Digimon by effects with their own deck. So Octomon helps out with that. Because on play, if there are 4 or more Digimon in play, you summon a Fujitsu token on your side of the field. Fujitsumon tokens are pretty much 3k DP Digimon with no levels. They have all turns they don't unsuspend, and on deletion, trash one card from your hand. So if you have four more Digimon on the field, it plays out on your side of the field, which you really don't want that. But if there's three or less Digimon on the field, you play it on your opponent's side. And the way that it's ruled is that Biting Crush, when it sees the Fujitsumon token being played on your opponent's side of the field, it sees it as them playing it. So you get to proc Biting Crush to spawn out a Levia. So Octomon is like very, very helpful in those kind of matchups that they don't inherently spawn something by an effect. Uh, Eismon Scatter Mode. This guy has changed so much in this list because at first he was a Dobermon, and now I'm trying him out as an Eismon, and I think I kind of prefer the Dobermon, but the Eismon is not bad either, especially early game when you're trying to cycle and try to find all your pieces. So yeah, this could also be a Dobermon. Uh, I forgot to mention this at the start, but uh, in the three locals I played this week, I've played about 10 rounds, and I've only lost two of the rounds. I've With this list, I've been able to beat just about every other deck. I lost to the Monzaimon deck because my opponent was able to when I got into Leviamon, not Levia, Belphemon, they're able to do like the Monzaimon to minus 2k DP to the end of my opponent until the end of my turn for as many Digimon as they had, so they're able to like do minus 14k until the end of my turn. So by the time it reached back to my turn, the Belphemon just died, and that just killed all momentum I had, and they were able to just draw into everything, and they beat me in that match. Another one I lost to was Deva's because simply I just couldn't draw fast enough to my pieces, and BT15 has helped out a lot Deva's especially with these eggs to help cycle into their pieces. So those are the two matches I lost to. I've beat just about all of the other matches, which includes Hunters, Vaccine, Levia Mirror, um, Bloomlord, Fenry, a bunch of other decks, but pretty much this deck has worked out very, very well for me. Now moving on to the level 5s, 4 Astamons to help facilitate the Levia plays. Unfortunately, I only run 3 Rihis. As much as I want to run 4, I need to make space for my Yotismon Ace. My Yotismon Ace is one of the best generic purple cards to come out of BT15. I believe he's a little bit underrated as like not I don't think enough people are talking about this deck. So pretty much he's 5 cost, 8k, overflow 3 unfortunately, but that's totally fine. That's normal for aces. On play and when digivolving, you may play one purple level 3 Digimon card from the trash without paying its cost, or play a Tamer. The Tamer is not you don't it doesn't matter what play cost. So oftentimes I use him to bring out my Memory Fixer or any of these other guys. I'll get into them now in a sec. And he's also a blocker. So one thing I like to do is end my turn by evoing a Kaiser Lee on top of Koichi so that it procs his retaliation until the end of my opponent's turn. So let's say they had a level 6 and they decide to swing, not knowing he's not a blocker. I would then have this in my hand and I would blast Evo. I'd play out a Tamer, and then since he's a blocker, I'd block. Even though overflow 3 I lose the memory, I have retaliation, so I end up popping their level 6. Um, that play hasn't come up too often because people kind of see it coming, and some people, not all of them, kind of see it coming, so they try to deal with the level 4 before the ace. Now that they know purple has aces now, but it's still a sneaky tech to run in your deck. For the level 6s, I'm running. Oh yeah, let me get into the ratio. So I'm not running too many of the level 3s. I'm running a total of 8. For the level 4s, I'm running 4, 7, 10. 10 level 4s. 8 level 5s, and then 4, 8, 12. 12 level 6s. These ratios seem really, really weird, I know. But it's also because you pitch so many cards from your hand. Essentially, all these 8 right here, these 8 cards, the 4 rage modes, 4 Levias, 1 Levia X, they're all normally your pitch targets or cards in hand to get ready to pitch, whether to anticipate a Biting Crush getting hidden security. So yeah, I run 4 of just about all of them. 4 of Belphemon Sleep Mode, 4 of the Rage Mode, 3 of the Levia, and then 1 Levia X. In total, I'm running 20 level 5 and higher, so you're almost always going to proc the BT15 Demimera. The main focus of this deck is to be able to get into your rage mode. Belphemon. The Levi is really just a secondary, but the fact if you can get early on against a lot of decks, Biting Crush Levi in hand and just it doesn't matter if your opponent has anything on the field. If you do it early enough, where you just Biting Crush, pitch a Levi, put the place the Biting Crush in the battle area, that stops so many decks in their tracks because you're already you're not popping anything oftentimes if you do that early enough, but you're having like that little floodgate of Biting Crush Leviah being ready for your opponent to just special summon something and you play out the Leviah from trash stopping its cost. It essentially stops them from doing a lot of stuff. So that like just having that combo ready at the start of the game is really really powerful. Um, the reason why I tried doing a purple hybrids with this is one, I honestly didn't think it was going to be that good, but I just wanted to have fun with the deck anyways, and I build purple hybrids in the modern day, not modern day, but modern format. Um, Current format is like better said. Uh, I realized that it's actually pretty competitive because you're able to go into Belphemon, and even maybe Leviamon for super super cheap. Because if you get set to 3, you have the Koichi out. You evo for 2 into a purple hybrid into level 4. Then you evo for 1 into the Rihi, and then you could just evo directly on top of one of these. It is kind of neg to have the Belphemon on top of something that isn't an Astamon, but if you get it early enough, or if you get in positions where it doesn't really matter, like it's such a strong move, such a strong move. But oftentimes I opt to go for the Astamon kind of play. But even then, it's um, let's say I promote a rookie from raising, whether it's a Tapir or Psychmon, it can't be for the Astamon it can't be the Ukomon because Astamon reads that by deleting one of your purple Digimon, um, do warp into sleep mode without paying its memory cost. So oftentimes what I like to do is either when I promote the Psychmon or promote the Tapir, I go Koichi into one of the hybrids, one of the level 4s, then I go into Astamon for 3, so it's essentially a 5 memory play to pop one of your Digimon, one of your purple Digimon, which would be one of these, to go into the sleep mode, and then you just tuck Rage mode under the covers. So like that combo is like I think it's really really strong and really really efficient compared, especially since it's better than just hard dropping Astamon and doing and going into the sleep. But sometimes the hard drop and Asta is better because, like I mentioned before, when it comes to manipulating hand size, doing that with the Tapir, you tend to draw into your at 6 or more, and with that kind of combo. So if you're gonna play this deck, be careful with that. Um, Certain mistakes people make with this list is just not organizing their hand properly, not pitching when they need to, not going into Belphemon when you have 5 or less, because you need to end turn with 5 or less. Because if you're end turn with 6, and if your opponent doesn't swing and you don't get to pitch cards, by the time it's your turn and you draw for turn, you'll have 7 cards in hand. Uh, I'm not used to Belphemon, so a few times it's happened to me, but fortunately I was still able to get those games just because of like how strong Belphemon and Levi are by themselves. I run the 4 Batting Crush, and then I run 7th Lightning and 1 Calling. Calling is kind of a staple in all purple decks, so like, I don't think I need to explain this too much. 7th Lightning, it's another card that helps you neg on hand size. You play it for 7, then by pitching 1 card in your hand, it doesn't matter what card it is. I think it has to be purple. Let me double check that. By trashing 1 card in your hand, no, it doesn't have to be purple. But just you play that, you pitch something, you pop a level 6 and a level 4. So with Biting Crush and with 7th Lightning, you're always minusing 2 from your hand. So with these kind of plays, that's why I'm okay with the Tapir, because for as much as I plus on hand size with the Tapir, I'm oftentimes negging on hand size because of these cards right here. For the Tamers, the 3 Koichis, the 2 Mats, and the 1 Kurata. Uh, at first, I used to have 4 Koichis, but the Kurata, the Ernie gave me the idea to put in the Kurata because it helps out with first memory manipulating, especially with the Mat and Kurata. That combo is actually pretty nice because like if you don't end up tapping the Mat on your turn, you could just kind of like possibly end your opponent's turn with more memory on your side. Because if they just end up passing or putting you to 3 because they see the Mat, End of turn, you do the Karada draw one, trash one, which procs the mat to tap it to gain one. So that's another thing that your opponent has to like play around. Not putting you to 3, because putting you to 3 would end up putting you to 4 with the Karada mat tech. Uh, as much as I want to put in 4 Koichis just to make this more of a purple hybrids list, I needed to make space. As you can see, this deck is very, very tight. Um, I need all the ratios the way they are, because I need to, like, for example, 4-4-3-1 for the Belphemons. Like, I need them at 4 because you need to see them as much as you can. For the Vias, you need to see them at 3, even maybe at 4, just to help proc the Biting Crushes as often as you can. Levia X has come in so clutch, especially because he's one of the few purple cards in the game that can actually pop Tamers. And he also pops super wide boards because when digivolving, if your opponent has as many or more Digimon and Tamers as you, Leviamon X pops one of their Tamers, then pops a 3, 5, and a 7. So this has helped me clear their level 7s, their level 5s, their level 3s. They helped me clear so much on their board. And even though they don't pop 4s and 6s, if you have 7th Lightning and Trash by the time you go into the Levia X, you could bottom deck it, very similar to 7 Full Cluster in Belphemon. So you bottom deck it to end up popping their 4s and 6s. So, like, honestly, every single piece in here has a combo with each other, one way or another. One thing that I didn't realize till, like, the first or second tournament I played this local tournament I played this deck in is that if you have both Leviamon and Levia X and Trash with Biting Crush on the field, if your opponent plays something by effect, 2 things trigger at the same time. Your Biting Crush and your Levia X. At that moment, you may not have a Leviamon, but Levia X still triggers. Meaning, if you order it correctly, for example, if you do Biting Crush first to spawn the Levia, pop whatever you need to pop, you still have Levia X pending. And when you activate it, at that moment, you should have the Leviamon on the field to be able to Digivolve. So, if your opponent's spawning one thing, you'd spawn Levia and then Digivolve into Levia X, which is a really, really strong combo. It might be beneficial to not do that immediately, because in certain situations where his memory gain, Leviamon's memory gain, is really, really important. And for example, there's been times where my opponent had a super, super wide board. I was able to proc both of them, but I decided not to do the Levia X because I had a Belphemon sleep mode with the rage underneath. Excuse me. And if I would have not digivolved into the Levia X, I would have just kept the Leviamon. On my start and main phase that I pop every level 5 or lower, I would clear a few bodies and I would get the memory gain off Levia. So there's times where you don't want to go into Levia X, even though he does 3 checks instead of the 2 from Levia. Sometimes the memory gain from Levia is more important. What else did I want to talk about in this list? Honestly, like, the only things I would kind of mess around with, I think, from pretty much the level 5s, the options, and the Tamers, I think all of those are pretty, like, what I would consider standard. Like, none of it should be touched. It's literally just the level 4s and down, well, whether it's ratios or cards, that I would maybe mess around with if you want to try out this list. If you don't like the Tapirmons and the ratios, the Demimeros, yeah, go ahead, try the Fascos with either the old Demimeros at 4, and the new Demimera at 1, or just try the reverse, or try the deck as is. You might be a better Belphemon player than me, so you'll probably be able to manipulate your hand size more efficiently than I do. So that's the deck list. If you guys have any questions, leave it down below. Yeah, take it easy, guys.